how's it going? Welcome to Tell You What, the podcast, where we talk with songwriters about writing songs and making music. Our guest today is Arlo McKinley, who joined us from his hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. We talk about his wonderful album, Die Midwestern, which was released last year on John Prine's Oh Boy record label. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this discussion. I had never met or spoken with Arlo before, but he was so easy to talk with, such a gentle demeanor, I felt almost immediately like I was chatting with an old friend. As we discuss, Arlo has seen some troubled times in his life, and his songs reflect that. This is his debut solo record, which was released when he was 40 years old. His songs found their way to John Prine's son, Jody, at Oh Boy Records. Jody has said that when he played Arlo's song, Bag of Pills, for John said, quote, "That's a good song," which evidently is high praise coming from him. Arlo was the last artist signed to John's label before he passed away last year. So Arlo has had this, at times, quite difficult path in life, and then, at age 40, is discovered by John Prine and records this amazing album with a killer studio band in Memphis that ends up on a number of year-end best-of lists for 2020. And still, in talking with Arlo, he comes across as genuinely sincere, remarkably humble, and ever so grateful for the opportunities he has been given. Truly a refreshing encounter for me, and I think you'll come to the same conclusions when you listen to our talk. It's interesting for those of you who may have listened to our previous episode with James Bradshaw to compare and contrast these two artists. Both have been somewhat late bloomers in their musical lives. Both write and perform songs that draw deeply from their surroundings. Arlo from southern Ohio, and James from not that far away in northern Georgia. And you would likely put their music in the same general category. But there's a sharp contrast in their songwriting approach. While James's songs are stories of fictional characters and events inspired by the North Georgia mountains and the people that inhabit them, as Arlo tells us, all of his songs are very personal stories, all inspired in one way or another by actual events that happened to him. I find it a remarkably interesting contrast considering how some might find the music of both artists to be of a similar genre or style. It is why I find these conversations so compelling. To hear one songwriter talk about his process and craft is to hear a singular story. And most have talked, as Arlo does, of not fully understanding their own process. Quick shout out to Keeby Gilkerson at Whiz Bang Management for putting this together. Much appreciated. So let's get to it. Here's our Tell You What discussion with Arlo McKinley.
No one said that this was gonna be easy. We've been dying since the day we were born. I don't know why I thought that it would be easy being criminals on the run. I'm glad we made some time and found our way back home.
All right, Arlo McKinley, thank you for joining us at Tell You What, the podcast today. We appreciate you taking the time. You are in your home state of Ohio, is that correct?
Yeah, here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and you are in your studio right now talking to me?
At a rehearsal space.
Okay.
It's pretty much a little house studio kind of thing that we put together so that to run over some things and record ideas and stuff like that. And yeah, that's where we're at, in the little music room right now.
Sounds good. All right, so are you Ohio born and bred?
Yeah, I was born here in Cincinnati in 1979, and I've spent little time elsewhere, really, except time spent like on the road traveling. I've tried to move a couple times. Texas was I had a little weird obsession with Texas, probably like in the
Lots of us do.
Yeah, it was I'd say maybe early, I don't know, mid 2005, something like that. And I went out there actually and tried to do it a couple times, but I always ended up
Didn't take.
No, it just didn't take. I liked visiting for sure, but I don't know. Anytime I'm gone, I always like coming back here for some reason.
We can hear that in your music, and we're going to talk about that a little later. So let's go back in time. Can you talk about the music you remember when you were young? What was like the soundtrack in and around your home, your community, and has some of that music maybe stayed with you and influenced what you're doing now?
Yes, for sure. Really, I got introduced to music, like really, and really took like an interest in it at a very young age. I'd say maybe 8 or 9 years old, and that was actually in the church that I was raised in. It was just a small little Baptist church, and here in Cincinnati that my family went to, and they played like a lot of kind of just like traditional hymn type music, and on just like guitars and acoustic guitars and all that. And it's not like the music that they're doing in like mega churches and stuff today and like all that. It's kind of more like traditional, almost folk bluegrass, like just those traditional hymn stuff.
Yep.
But there was that got me really into music. And then my dad still is to this day, was a big like traditional bluegrass and old country fan. So he had a pretty big record collection of that. And then also I'm the youngest of 3 boys, and
Right.
So my older brothers kind of would have their own thing going on, and they started bringing in like at a young age. I remember seeing like some punk records of like Misfits records and Black Flag and stuff like that. I'm like, what is this stuff? You don't see this on MTV. And
The older brother's record collection, I've heard that story before.
yeah, and so it was kind of, that's really what it was. Is if the brothers weren't home, I would be in their rooms rating their records, and if they were home and my dad wasn't, I'd be in his, rating his and listening to like old Stanley Brothers stuff. And then from going to that and then going into my brother's room and listening to like I said, the Misfits or the Exploited and stuff like that. So I was always, music was just in my house always. And my mom, who passed recently, she her and my dad, we'd hear them down the hall, singing hymns and stuff together. So everyone in the house was, music was always a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I think at an early age, I knew that it's what I wanted to do, and it's the only thing that ever stuck with me. So yeah, all of that stuff has stuck with me, and music, I say often, is the only thing that has been a constant thing in my life. Like, things come and go, but the love that I have for just music in general is just, that's never left me. So yeah, all that stuff still influences me. The gospel stuff, the bluegrass stuff, the punk stuff, all of it. Yeah. So yeah.
So was singing your first way in terms of performing?
Yes. Yeah, that came first. My aunt actually heard me. I don't know how she heard me. If she just heard me one day in my room or something, I don't know. But we had a little like youth group thing at church, and just a small little group. And she asked if I would sing this song one day when we were there, and then that was my first time singing in front of people. I remember that day like it was yesterday, so it's kind of strange. And then
That's great.
Then I remember going up on that next Sunday and singing in front of people, and that was
Solo.
Yeah. It was my uncle was playing guitar behind me, and my aunt played piano, and yeah.
And how old were you?
I was probably 8 or 9.
Wow.
I'd say 8 or 9. Yeah, and that too. The church was a place where I think I don't know. I learned a lot, I think, about music there. I think I learned like how important it can be to people. I don't really get into like religious conversations with people. To each their own, and whatever they think is good on them. Good. But growing up, you get born again. You're saved and all this, and then there's so much emotion in the church. And then I started like thinking, when I got older, that maybe was it the music that was moving me in church, or was it something else? Who knows? But that was the first time that I could see that music can be a lot more than just a sound. It can really make you feel or connect with something. And I think that's when I knew that I wanted to do it. So that was around 8 or 9 years old. I was.
That's pretty good.
And then around that same time, I'm in a little talent show at my elementary school where, and I still have a video of it somewhere, which I hope never surfaces. But this is that's probably '88 or something like that, and I'm wearing a real cool Miami Vice jacket with a Misfits Skull shirt under it, and singing a Poison song. And
nice.
I lost, but I felt good about it.
You showed them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So at some point, did you pick up the guitar? Was that the next thing?
Yeah. I actually that probably came along around maybe the age of 12 or 13. My dad had guitars always, and I was always interested in the guitar. And for some reason, the way my uncle would play it in church, I don't know, I used to say I want to play guitar like Uncle Wayne, and I didn't even know what a capo was at that time. And I remember asking, where does Uncle Wayne put that thing that he puts on his guitar? Where did he put it? I'm trying to act like I know what I'm doing. And but around the age of 12 or something, I kind of had some issues in school, and ended up spending a lot of time at home during a certain school year. And then there were guitars around, and I remember wanting to learn a couple Social Distortion songs, and so I kind of taught myself power chords, and then from there, that's when I started playing guitar. And then to this day, I'm a very kind of basic rhythm player, but guitar, it was singing is always the thing for me. And I think I just play guitar now kind of to keep my hands busy when we're playing. I'd actually much rather just sing if I could, when we perform. But it was good. I kind of just taught myself. And
what about writing?
That's something that didn't come along until much later. Real writing, what I'm doing now. I would I was in a couple punk bands where I wrote songs and stuff, but nothing really too much. I don't know. In my later teen years, I hooked up with a guy from here who's doing some pretty cool stuff now. A guy, Jeremy Pinnell, and we met each other somehow, and he said he heard that I could sing. He needed someone to come in and do some harmonies with him, and then he came over, showed me a bunch of songs, and so I did that for years. But I kind of studied his way of songwriting, really, and I always give him credit for that. And then, slowly I would kind of start writing here and there, but I really didn't start trying to write songs until probably my early, maybe 30, late 20s, early 30, and I really didn't. So it hasn't been a very long time on that, really.
So when you were playing in punk bands, you maybe weren't really writing full songs at that time?
I'm not writing. I wasn't writing anything of meaning or anything. I think I'm just going along with the whole, fuck the system and everything's wrong and whatever. But I have no idea what I'm really going against. So I'm just writing down words. Just copying off other people. So it wasn't. I don't know, when I got old enough and kind of lived.
Yeah, I think you're about to answer my next question. I think you've already got started on it, because now you've been around a while. You've lived a life, right? Do you think that needed to happen before you were able to write the songs you're writing now?
100%. I do. And even though I started kind of writing, late, maybe, like I said, late 20s, early 30s, within the past 5 years, I think has been where I've got my way of writing down. The kind of how I like to write, because I had to I can only write about what I know and what I've lived and what I've seen. I'm not a good person that can just make up a story out of my head. That's never been what I can do. I always write off of real experiences, and that's like, I got asked a lot, like when the album first came out, is it strange, getting recognition at 40 and this and that, and I have the same answer all the time. I wouldn't have been able to write these songs or anything of substance, I don't think, at an earlier age. So I don't think it's as weird as I think some people think it is. I don't know.
Right. So once again, you anticipated my next question. Your songs are all personal, right? So you've said that is just the way you write. So you're writing more songs now that aren't on this album. Is that continuing to be where your songs come from your personal truth, let's say?
Yeah, yes, for sure. I write my songs in like little like chapters. My life seems to kind of go, and I go through a little time period, and then I write about that time period, and then it's the next chapter, and then I'll write about what went on within the last few years of that, and that's kind of how I've been doing it. Yeah, the stuff that I'm writing now is what's happened, since I wrote the songs last time. Like, because Die Midwestern could easily have 10 more songs on it. We had to break it down because that period was kind of a heavy period of my life, and I got a lot of material out of it, and which I think we'll get that out there eventually. But that chapter's over, so now we'll go to the next thing. But yeah, it's always, I don't know, I'm not the best at communicating when I'm like speaking to someone, but I don't know, or telling my story. I guess I'm getting better at it maybe, but I've always found it.
You're doing fine right now.
Yeah, oh, thanks. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable with this one, I gotta say.
Well, I gotta tell you, after listening to these songs, I'm kind of glad that chapter in your life is over for you personally.
Yeah.
But
yes.
It produced a lot of great songs, and I can understand why there maybe were more. It seems like it was a period that, had some turmoil in it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I'm very, very open, about that stuff. And that was a period where, I was faced with a lot of things that I never thought would, growing up, I never thought I'd be faced with.
Yeah.
And like things like, addiction and friends dying like regularly, like it seems like, stuff like that. And then I don't know, just a long relationship had ended, and so I kind of just put all of everything that I went to kind of all in my head, and said, all right, I'm gonna just document this time period. And I think that's what that's the way that I try to do it. It's definitely I don't know, it was good for me, I think, to get that stuff out, and
right,
to get those songs out of me, and kind of a good way to put some closure on that time period.
Well, we're gonna talk about some of the songs in particular in a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about your process first.
Yeah.
About how maybe you are turning these ideas into songs. Do you have a discipline of like sitting down to write? The ideas kind of coming to you on the fly, and you work them out later. What's how did some of this stuff come together for you?
There's a couple different ways. I try to sit down and play as often as I can and see if something comes out of it. But
and you're sitting with the guitar.
Yeah, I'll just turn everything off, and and just sit there with the guitar and see if anything comes up. That process doesn't really seem to work that well for me, unless I have something on my mind already. But it usually, I don't know, a lot of songs will kind of come to me when I'm driving or something, a melody or a line or something. So I'll get my phone, like, if you were to look through my phone at my like voice memos, it's ridiculous. And I'll have a line or something, or a melody, so I'll sing it to the phone, and then I'll go, once I get home, I'll work on it, and something like that. Or it's kind of I don't know. A lot of these songs just sort of come to me when they can or when they do. Like, I think "Ghost of My Best Friend" is a good example of a way that I will write songs. That was leaving a friend's funeral, and I'm sitting in the car across the street from the place, and something is just saying, don't leave yet, just hang. Everyone's gone, and I've been sitting in the car for an hour and just sitting there, and I don't know why I'm doing this, but then all of a sudden I start thinking, about the life that I got to live with my good friend, and then all of a sudden that whole song just kind of started coming to me, and I sang it into my phone, and then I remember rushing home to finish it, and so it's like little moments like that, just being a situation will happen, and I'll think about it, so that can happen, or like I said, a little line or something will come to my mind, or I don't succeed that well I really don't succeed when I try to sit down and do something. I guess I have in the past, but that's just not.
So you talked about driving, and maybe it's like the ideas come when you're not trying to think of them, right? Where you're occupying your mind with something else.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, you kind of answered it better there than I could. I think I kind of got lost.
I've heard similar things from other writers. So I understand from your bio that you drove tuxedos around for a while.
Yes.
Was this maybe a productive time for you, songwriting wise?
100%. That was a very productive time, actually, because there were the stores around here or whatever, but our base and warehouse was up in like Detroit, Michigan. Okay. And nobody wanted that route. And I was like, are you crazy? I was like, I definitely want that route. It's overnight. You came in at I'd go in at 7 o'clock at night and drive up to Michigan and literally get out of a vehicle and get back into another one and drive it right back. So that's like a 4 or 5 hour drive. Wow. So each way. So I'm on the road for 10 hours. And a lot of songs came out of doing that. And, a lot of the songs on Die Midwestern came out. About half of them probably came out of that.
Well, I would like to thank the formal wear business for giving us these songs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. It was it was good. It was a good thing all around. I would listen to something and be inspired by something, and then start thinking to myself I don't know, I want to write a song like that.
Yeah.
That song reminds me of something I'm going through, so maybe I should write. Take my stab at it. So they definitely, President Tuxedo, I don't even know if they're around anymore. They deserve I should have put them in the thanks list.
Yeah,
sure.
That's great. Okay, so this might be a difficult or weird question. Let's give it a shot. How do you know when you've come up with something good? Right? Are there other people involved? Do you trust yourself?
I trust myself. I won't show anyone a song that I've written unless I'm confident that it will turn into something that I'm happy with. I kind of keep it to myself, and I'll sit on it. But I can always tell pretty early, though, I think, if I don't feel that it's going anywhere, or that I don't feel like I'm doing it correctly, then I just kind of leave it alone and then see if I come back to it. And then if not, then I just leave it be. And then, because mainly it's a weird thing to say, but mainly I'm kind of writing songs that I would like to, that I'd like to listen to. I want to make music that,
right.
Because I'm pretty much paying homage in just showing respect for everyone that kind of came before me, that influenced me, and I don't know, all of that. So I want to enjoy what I put out. I know that sounds weird when I say it.
Well, it appears that you have good taste. So
right. Well, thank you. Yeah, but so the songs that I don't feel are moving or going in any direction, I'll leave. But then there's also there's been songs where I've done like that, where I've written and I'm like, okay, I can't really get past this little first verse and this little thing, and so I've left it, and then I've started writing another song where I will have the same feeling about where I leave it, and then then eventually those two, what were going to be completely different songs, become the same song. Gone for Good is an example of that. I had that chorus written for a while, but I just didn't know what to put, in it, like for the verses. And then I thought, I went back and listened to some stuff that I'd written and found a song that had a completely different melody and everything, but it kind of, the verses fit what that song was meaning to me. Yeah. And so it worked out that way. So sometimes what I don't think will work, I'll go back to, and then I think I know when to say, okay, this isn't working.
I find that interesting when people talk about what they thought were two different songs or two different sessions end up coming together, and it's almost, I wonder if it's the brain had one idea, but your process thought it was two different things, and eventually it found its way back home again.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I know, at least with Gone for Good, now as I look back on it, what that song is about for me, both of the things I was working on, it was both about that situation. Yeah. So, and I think that's why I realized that it did fit. So yeah, just at the time, I think, I didn't really get it until I went back and then heard what I had written on, this other song that I was working on. And I was like, well, this fits.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes a song has to tell you what it's about while you're writing it.
Yeah, for sure. I always go in kind of knowing what I want to say. And then there's songs too that have taken on different meanings to me, like where I'll want to be writing about something and tell a story about something that I've gone through, and then that'll take me to something else, another story that I'm wanting to tell. So, I don't know, songwriting is just a weird process to me. Like, I never thought that I'd be talking. Like, I really never thought that I would be speaking to anyone about me being a songwriter. Yeah. Like, it's a weird thing that I don't really fully get. Like we were speaking earlier, I always thought I would just be like a singer of some type, and maybe, do harmonies for someone or something like that.
Well, I tell you, I've talked to a lot of songwriters, and I haven't had one tell me that they understand how it works yet. So you're in good company.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't want to know if there is an answer to it. I don't want to know it.
Right.
I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, and it works. And that's the thing. I don't think there's a wrong or right way. Everyone's different on that, and everyone just wants to tell, I think, their story how they see fit, and whatever process works best for them.
Yeah, let's talk about some of your stories. Let's talk about the album Die Midwestern, released last year. I've really been enjoying this record. I keep finding new songs I love with each listen.
Thank you.
It made some year-end best of lists last year. It must feel pretty good to have such a great reaction to your music.
It was. It still amazes me, to be honest with you. And it is a good feeling. The response to that album is amazing. I'm really proud of what we all pulled off together, the team.
All right, let's talk about a couple of the songs.
Yeah.
First cut, We Were All Right?
Yeah.
Great song. I have to tell you, you got me with this one. First time I listened to it, I'm like, oh, here's a nice road song, a love song. Sounds great. Isn't this nice? Then halfway through, bang, it's a dream. We wake up and it's all turned to shit, right?
Yeah, right.
And you took me along for that ride, and it really got me. It's a great device. You pulled off so well. So many of us have had that thought, like, is this a dream? I hope not, or I hope it is, and all that. And so my question is, did the song start out as a dream idea, or was it an idea that you decided to put in a dream format?
It was like an end of a relationship thing, and it actually was based on an actual, like, little dream that I did have, and then, based on that, and then I kind of wrote around that idea a little bit more. Like, it's not like I really dreamt everything that I say in that, but it's based off the dream that I did have, where everything was good, and I remember that feeling of waking up and just being like, shit.
And then wanting to go back.
Yeah, wanting to go back
dream.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that time period was just a rough one in general with life and everything. And, but yeah, I got that song out of it. And, just kind of like what you said. I like I don't know, the little surprise part there about the dream, because it does, it's like a little love song, like like you said. But that's based on a real dream that I had. And
Well, it works really well.
Turn the radio on and heard Luke in Bach, Texas, and you said it was your favorite song. Girl, you started singing along. Cross state lines, couldn't keep my eyes open, so I stopped to see an old friend of mine to get some sleep for a while. For the first time in a long time, we were all right. Woke by the phone, heard your voice say I should come get my things, 'cause you were gonna be home and you wanted them gone. Like a brick it hit me, everything I thought that happened that night, well, it was only a dream. So I went back to sleep.
You have a great voice, obviously. You mentioned you've been singing since you were a kid. There's no question about that. But you also have a great talent for phrasing and delivery of the lyrics. Sometimes you're stretching words or syllables out. Other times you're kind of clipping them in ways that are unexpected. Sometimes you're fitting a lot of words or syllables into a line that maybe you wouldn't expect it to. When you're putting these songs together, are you trying out different phrasings and deliveries to get it where you want, or is it more of a natural thing of, well, you've been singing for 20 years and this is just what's coming out and it's right?
I definitely work on the like the phrasing and the like the way that words kind of fit and flow together. I actually kind of try to like phrase words, like, I don't know, in almost like a hip hop, like rap kind of way, which is kind of like a strange thing to say, but I'm a big hip hop fan.
Yeah. No, I can kind of pick up some of that when you have a lot of words in a line. It kind of has that hip hop kind of rhythm.
That's exactly what I mean. And I'll do a thing where I'll maybe throw 5 words in a sentence that all begin with the same letter or something. Mm-hmm. Just like things like that. I'm definitely conscious of it, and I've definitely changed songs around to to make stuff like that fit. Yeah.
Well, it really works, and it's just another level of why these songs are so good.
And I'm actually glad that you're the first person that's ever brought that up. So I'm glad that you got that.
I guarantee you I'm not the only one who's noticed this.
Yeah, and maybe not, but you're definitely the first that's ever like brought like that part up, and that's like it's something that I definitely try to do. So I'm glad that that's noticed.
Good. Keep it up.
Yeah, right. Because I try my best to keep like these songs like as simple as can be, but not like more than anything. I just want it to tell a story. Yeah, I want to let you know what I've gone through. But
a good story has good hooks, right?
Exactly, and that's what
catch your brain. Right. And that can be the words, it can be the phrasing, it can be the rhyme. All those things. Yeah. Move the story forward, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because if it gets too simple, then you're kind of just like, okay, it's and so that's where I'll try to get like more, like kind of creative. I think when it comes to like phrasing and like wordplay and stuff like that, and that's I'm glad you caught on to that. So.
All right, next song, we're going to talk about Die Midwestern, title track.
Yeah.
First of all, can we agree that Ohio is the most satisfying state name to sing?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, you can sing it so many ways. Yeah,
It's a good thing you were born there.
Right? Yeah, it is.
But this song is about place, right? It's about like inertia, staying versus leaving. Can you talk about this song maybe in terms of how sense of place has played a part in your musical life?
Yeah, and that is, what the song to me is, about. It's about me figuring out if I was going to go, am I going to stick around Cincinnati? Am I going to stay here, go elsewhere? And it really kind of started with the thought of, all right, I'm just going to get out of here and, go do, somewhere else and do whatever. And then you can't, you go to a new place. That doesn't mean that your problems and your issues just instantly go away. And it's also, a part of that of just like facing what's in front of you. But mainly it's, to me, it's about being tired of what you're seeing around you. It's about being tired of, getting phone calls that a friend has died every other week. It's about, falling out with, good friends and this and, just everything. It's about just some of the bad things in life.
At the same time, it's hard to leave.
Yeah, and it's hard to leave because it's all that I know. And then on the other hand, the term Die Midwestern is even if I end up in California, at this point I'm 41 years old, I'm always going to be a Midwestern guy. So no matter where I go, it's in me. I'm going to die Midwestern. Just realizing that regardless of where you are, you're still going to be the same person.
The streets are crowded and the lights are so bright. Another Cincinnati Saturday night, and I hate what that has become. And I've been thinking that I should go. If I don't leave now, then I'm never gonna leave Ohio, Lord. And that's a chance that I just can't take, now that I'm getting older.
Okay, Bag of Pills.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about how most of your songs are songs of personal truth one way or another, stories from your life. But this one strikes me as a particularly personal song. I think I read that it actually was generated by an incident in your life. So maybe you can talk about this song and where it came from?
Yeah, they're all personal to me, but that one's definitely a very a personal thing, and it's based on a true story. I sold some pills to take a girl drinking, and that's all true. And then, but that song also is that song's like in between 10 and 15 years old. Actually, that's one of the, I believe that's the second song that I've ever written. I believe,
wow,
like fully written. And that time period was when life kind of started changing. From when addiction was no longer just things that you read about or see in movies. Now it's right upstairs, and it's next door, and it's your best friend, and it's this and that, and it's I don't know, that song to me is weird because it kind of hops around on a couple things, because I don't know, it's a part of me wanting to connect with someone, but then again, there's something else that's much more important, which is drugs, and there's also the part at the end
Yeah, that bridge at the end.
Yeah,
The song kind of takes a turn there.
and that's the part where it's where that's me, saying that everything, that all of the things I said previously, it's just, if this is all it is, if this is what life is going to be, then I really just don't even want to take part in it anymore. And it just, yeah, that was a really weird time. And just being lost in a lot of ways, not knowing where I was going to go, what I was going to do, more than ever at that time. And so that's kind of where that, came from. And then for some reason, it just fit. It fit with all the other songs, and because I didn't know if I was going to put that on the on the album or not. And Matt Ross Spang, who produced the album, really thought, he was really behind putting that one on there. He thought that.
Well, as I think I read, John Prine also thought it was a pretty good song.
Yeah, and that, I believe, yeah, that's the song that got. I believe that's the song that got his actual approval on it.
Yeah.
And because I'd already known Jody, and Jody who runs Old Boy and all that, his son, and yeah, and then John, I believe, commented on that song, and
so that's going to have some weight in the decision to include.
Yeah, that definitely it definitely does. And then I'm glad for a lot of reasons that I put it on there, but especially for that, for John, enjoying that, especially with him passing shortly after, we recorded the record.
You want it, I can feel it. Got a bag of pills I've been dealing, so I can take you drinking. Don't tell me about a love thing. We'll get high and talk until morning. Then you can catch me sleeping. And all I need now, I don't want. And all I've loved now, it's all gone to my head.
A lot of people, yeah, have connected with that song, which it just kind of surprised me in a way. Like I like it and everything, and I don't know. That's kind of I owe a lot, I think, to that song in a way, because it was like
It's kind of a weird thing to say, isn't it? About a song like that?
Yeah, it is. It's very strange, because
Yeah.
we put out this, I did this video online. It was my first video that hit 1 million views. I think now it's up to 3 million. And
Wow.
Yeah, and I wasn't even, the day that we were going, I was just a little acoustic thing for some YouTube thing. I wasn't even going to do that song that day. And then at the very last minute, my drummer was down there with me, and I told him, because we weren't doing that song in, at shows or anything. I told him, I was like, man, I think I'm going to do Bag of Pills for this. And he just thought it was kind of crazy, kind of weird. And he's like, yeah, do it. And then that really kind of started a big thing. That video took off in a weird, in a weird way.
That's interesting. Well, let me ask you this. You kind of led me to a question here. Since your songs are so personal, now granted there hasn't been much touring for a while, obviously, hopefully we get back to that soon. But how does it feel to be singing these songs to live audiences over and over? I'm sure you did get a chance to play some of these songs live, putting yourself out there with these songs, particularly a song like this. And does your relationship to these songs change over time the more you sing them, or is it still a very personal experience?
The songs remain the same to me always, and I don't know, they're almost like my kids or something. It's sort of weird. I don't have any kids, but it's sort of, so my feelings for the songs never change. And performing in front of people, it reminds me of why I'm doing it. I think, especially now, we played 3 nights in a row down in. I think these are the last shows we played. It was still kind of warm out down in Lexington, Kentucky, and we sold out 3 nights in a row at the Burl down there. And
Yeah.
and it was like one of the first time we'd played since I think the record had been out besides the little release show, and just to see the people connect into that, like I could step away from the microphone and let everyone sing, and that feeling was just satisfying to me, to know that whether they are connecting to the song how I am or not, they're connecting to it in some way. And so I don't know, I like sharing these songs with people. Like performing to me is always like maybe my favorite thing to do, because I just shut everything else off. And I always say too that I think I become a different person or something.
Interesting.
I just shut everything off, and I'm really just in just like a weird little zone for a minute. And like I hate when it ends, actually, especially if it's a good like show. But no, I don't know. I want to share these songs with people, especially like over like some of them, like some people that have reached out to me and like written messages to me about what certain songs have done for them is a
People that have been in difficult places.
yes, a very heavy. Some of these things are very heavy to read, but to know that they're connecting to something that I wrote just to get something off of my chest is it's just, I don't know, it's a good feeling, and it's a good way to connect with people and bring people from all different types of I don't know. I think just when you're at a show, or at least for me, I want my shows to be where nothing matters except all of us enjoying these songs. Like, leave politics, leave all this at the door. Don't bring that. Just none of it matters.
Yep.
At least for this hour and a half or whatever, and let's connect on this, and let's just get through whatever we're going through together. And
Yeah. And now you really got me pining for a live music again.
Oh man, you're telling me, and I can't. I'm fucking dying over here, man. It's
I can only
rough.
imagine.
Yeah. So I think we maybe did six shows since the album's been out. I think maybe 7 altogether.
Man. So we'll be back there soon.
I think so. We're starting to book some stuff for I think the spring. A couple outside things that came our way, and I think eventually, things. There definitely seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel, or at least a tunnel now. At least, I think.
At least we know we're in the tunnel.
Yeah, right. At least we're in the tunnel now. Now we're looking for the light. So yeah.
All right, let's talk about another song.
Yeah.
She's always around.
Yeah.
Great honky tonk vibe on this one. Puts me in the mind of some good like Dwight Yoakam.
Yeah.
And again, you got me with this one. First, I'm enjoying a great honky tonk sound, great swing. And then I realized the song is not about another woman.
All right.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you're good, man.
So do you remember how this one came together in terms of I'm going to write a honky tonk song, or I'm going to write a song about this concept and make it a honky tonk thing? Because it works so well.
Yeah, I remember the day that I wrote that song. That's another occasion of being in the car, and I had the concept of the song in my mind. Because I don't consider myself really a country artist, but I'm inspired by so many of like the artists that you kind of mentioned, like Dwight Yoakam and like Keith Whitley, some like more like traditional country people, and so I like to throw those songs out there. And I just kind of thought that that would be one that would kind of fit that vibe. So I'm driving and I'm singing it, and I remember I called my piano player at the time, I called him and I was like, oh, dude, I gotta come over to your house right now. And then I remember I came in and I showed it to him. I was like, we have to figure this out. I didn't know like what key or anything we'd be playing it in. I was like, I just wrote the song.
But just for our listeners' benefit, it's a song about another woman, but the other woman is really an addiction. If I'm hearing it right.
Yes, here's what it's about. We'll lay it out. It's about me wanting to be with someone, and that someone isn't, really can't make up their mind if they're wanting to or not, but there's always this other someone or something that is always there to, to take care of me if that other someone isn't around.
I wish I had you to come home to. I could lay my troubles down, but she never believed that you really loved me, and she patiently waited around. She's always around, hanging out in those dark corners, 'cause she knows the one I love won't let me hold her. She's always around, hanging out in the same places, 'cause she knows that I'll come crawling every time I'm breaking down.
I want to ask you about the band on this record. That they're so great on this song. You recorded this in Memphis, right?
Yes, at Sam Phillips Recording Services.
Wow. I've had the pleasure of spending some time with Will Sexton, who plays the guitar on this record, and his talented wife, Amy LaVere. They're just such great folks, and what a guitar player. These musicians are so awesome, and they sound so great with you. How did that come together?
I've got to give all the credit to Matt Ross Spang on putting that band together. I was freaked out by actually when I was going to be going down there, because I'd never done anything like that before, and we'd always just gone into a studio or wherever and recorded like with the band in a way. But anyway, we get down there, and I meet Matt finally, and I instantly feel comfortable, and then I walk in. The first person I see is actually Rick Steff from Lucero, and I know he's played with Cat Power. I think he played with Hank Williams Jr. for a while, and I know him from just previous things, and so I instantly felt comfortable there. And then I start meeting everyone else and finding out who these people are, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm like, this is my band. I was like, this is my band for the record. And Will, I don't know, all of them did it really. I never once felt that they were in there for just a job. It was never that, and that's what I could tell that, like, as soon as we sat down to play, like, it was obvious that they had sat and listened to the, because there's a version of Die Midwestern that was going to come out before I got signed to Old Boy. I was going to put it out myself. That was recorded some years ago, but that actually kind of that recording ended up being pretty much the demo for this album. So I sent that to Matt, and it was obvious that all of the people that he had gotten together had listened to this album, and they all wanted to serve the song. And it was just, besides Rick, we go down there and we're all just strangers, and then we're connecting through these songs, and by the end, you would have thought that we'd known each other for years. And it was just amazing to see how into, like, they wanted me to make the best record I possibly could, and I just thought it was so. It was just so. I don't know. It was just awesome. It was so good to see, and I just felt like I was in good hands. And with me,
when I see Will play, it makes me think of someone who was born with the instrument in their hand. It's like a part of his body, right?
Oh, for sure. He's something else, man. Watching him play, because the way we had it set up, we recorded live for the most part, and we're all just in a circle. And I remember at one point, like, just looking around at everybody and, you know, seeing who I'm with, and while we're in the middle of a song, and I'm looking over at Will, and he's just leaning back, got his eyes closed, and just playing and grinning and just loving what he's doing.
Big grin on his face.
Yeah, big grin on his face, and, you know, just effortlessly just doing what he does. And I loved everything about that experience. And but Matt gets all the credit for putting that together. And that guy, Matt's amazing, man. That's my go-to guy now.
Well, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here and a lot of time. I'm going to ask you one more question.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe a difficult one, but looking back at your pretty long career, musical career, and your songwriting creative self, are there things you feel like you're getting better at over time, or there's maybe some things you're trying to get better at?
I think I'm getting, I know I'm getting better at having a little bit of confidence in myself, really. And because that's one thing I lacked a lot. And it's not even, and I don't mean that I know that I'm doing good stuff, or I'm putting, you know, it's just knowing that I'm realizing that the time that I've put into it has been worth it, even when at times maybe it didn't seem like it was. And then I'm always trying to push myself to be, especially lately, I've tried to push myself to be even a better, like, writer, and be like, just to keep growing really in all ways, you know, musically that I can. And I just try not to stay, I don't know, I don't ever want to be satisfied, because I think if I get satisfied, then I'll get bored, or I'll get tired, or, you know, I just don't, which I don't think that's even a possibility. It's, you know, if I've been doing this since I was like 8 or 9 in some sort of way or another, then I just don't think anything else is really in the cards for me. So just realize I'm in a pretty good spot, and, you know, use it to the best, use it for the best that I can, and, you know, just see where it takes me, and just continue to grow. Yeah, that's great. Well, hopefully it takes you on the road soon, because I want to see you perform these songs live, and hopefully we're going to hear some more new songs from you. Yeah, I think I think that might be happening before too long. So we'll keep you informed on that for sure.
Good. All right, Arlo, thanks so much. I can't tell you, I really enjoyed this talk we had here.
Me too. I feel like I talked your ear off, but
this was good stuff.
All right, cool. I really do appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having the interest.
All right, Arlo, thanks, man.
All right, thanks. You have a good one, brother.
'Cause I'd gladly drown with you out in the sea. Whatever you want, whatever you